On the line, I have Ramon Mendoza. Is one of the Go International with 4Life in the Philippines, and he's with 4Life for 14 years. He's a health expert, sharing a lot of very much valuable information about transfer factor, how you get in the business with the transfer factor.
It started in 2005 when I was bedridden because of my gouty arthritis. During the time, I could not walk, and someone, the name of Jay, introduced me to 4Life. I took this
Okay.
Transfer Factor Plus, 2 capsules 3 times a day, and after 3 days, I was able to walk again.
Wow.
Normally, that kind of disease will make my hands look like this and my feet also like this. So I could not walk because the bones are melted. But thanks to Transfer Factor Plus, my hands are straight. Okay.
So in the last 14 years, you've been sharing information and the benefits of transfer factor. Could you please show us what is transfer factor? Let's start with the very beginning.
Okay. Transfer factors are actually tiny molecules inside the white blood cells. So, in the time of Dr. Sherwood Lawrence in 1949 in the US, he wanted to find out where he can find immunity. And so he asked one of his patients to be able to discover immunity for TB, for tuberculosis. He asked that person for some blood, and that blood was tested in the laboratory, and he saw a tiny molecule inside the white blood cell. So when Dr. Sherwood Lawrence found a tiny molecule inside the white blood cell, he wanted to find out if this was immunity immunity code for tuberculosis. So the only way to find it out is to put it in a syringe, inject to someone who has never been exposed to TB or tuberculosis. And that assistant of his, he tested it to his body, and after a few days, he conducted a tuberculin test to try whether he was sensitized or immunized or some sort of vaccinated.
Okay.
So after the tuberculin test, he found out that this assistant of his was sensitized or immune to TB. And so that was the beginning of him discovering a factor that was immunity code just transferred from a human being to another human being. So, and so Dr. Sherwood Lawrence called it a factor that he transferred from one being to the other. And so he called it transfer factor, and that was 1949. And
Okay.
what happened now is this. This was going to be the future of medicine. But the problem that time in 1949 was there was no machinery or no machine that could extract these white blood cells properly. So he has to rely on blood. But blood is not a good source because it was very difficult. And so people also don't want to give their blood for testing. And he will run out of people to give him blood because blood is not a good source. And then in 1974, 25 years thereafter, the same white blood cell was found in the mother's milk on the very first 3 days after birth. And they called it colostrum. So the colostrum, which is the first milk of the mother, has white blood cells. And you know that white blood cells has transfer factor inside of it. And so the scientists said, hey, We don't have to get it from the blood. We just get it from the milk. Transfer factor from from the colostrum of the mother was discovered, and that was better than the blood. Okay, but we cannot use the mother's milk because that's for the baby. And so in 1989, another doctor, Dr. Wilson and Dr. Paddock, saw the transfer factor molecules in the white blood cells of the cow's
Mm.
colostrum, or the cow's first milk. And so it was a better source because the cow's colostrum were plenty, were abundant. So we
Mm.
can have abundant supply, and plus the fact that the cow's immunity, their transfer factors immunity, are more than the humans because the
Okay.
cows have heroic immune system. Since now we have a source, and that was perfect time for David Lisenby, our founder, to to buy the patent from Dr. Wilson and Dr. Paddock, and we bought it. So we now own the patent of extraction from the cow colostrum and plus the chicken egg yolks. And so in 1998, we launched transfer factor because we invented a machine called the dry biotech ultrafiltration extraction process machine, or we launched it in 1998. That was the beginning year of For Life research. That's
Okay.
why today we are already 21 years or 22 years. Right? One capsule of transfer factor contains trillions of immunity codes. Now, a vaccine has only one immunity, right? For
Okay.
example, you have the hepatitis B virus vaccine. That's
Okay.
only one. One, the goal of a vaccine is to make sure the body produces a transfer factor, one transfer factor for hepatitis B virus. That is the reason why this is so powerful. It's so powerful. God made, it is Mother Nature provided to the cows for simple reason, so that the cows will not die while eating all the microbes of the earth found in the soil. And that means that all the viruses of the earth are covered. So now that we have a threat today about this viruses today, the COVID-19, so to speak, a lot of people are scared how to protect themselves. So what the countries are doing today, or most countries are doing today, is preventive or prevention, which is wearing of masks, this social distancing, okay, 1 meter or 5 meters or whatever, 5 feet away or 7 feet away. So that's preventive. That's only prevention, and also washing of hands with soap. And also another one is washing your hands with alcohol. So those are all prevention. Our goal as a distributor is to take a level up, okay, mission. Our goal now is not just prevention. Our goal is to stop death, the death rates, slow down the death rates. That is our goal. Why? Because transfer factor has three abilities. Okay, first, it can educate the immune system with, with unlimited knowledge, trillions of immunities, to be able to recognize, respond, and remember threats like viruses and bacteria, pathogens, or whatever microbe. Number two, it can boost the immune system so high, like 437%, meaning it can multiply your natural immune system powers by 4 times. So that is preparedness for the battle. And it's like multiplying your stem cells in just 48 hours. It's multiplied times 4. And number three, to balance the immune system. This is where we can conquer this virus. How? because the balancing effect of transfer factor means to slow down or bring back to zero the inflammation caused by viruses.
Mm.
Why? Because viruses has two origins. First, the virus can kill the cell and damage the tissues and therefore damage the lungs so people collapse. But the most dangerous is the second part, wherein the virus will create havoc in the immune system. So the immune system goes wild and crazy. So it produces a lot of inflammation. And that inflammation can cause the penetration of oxygen to stop inside the lungs. So the oxygen will not be able to go through the alveoli of the lungs because of the inflammation. There will be a stoppage of oxygen from flowing. So the people begin to collapse when there's no oxygen running inside the bloodstream. And that is the perfect strategy of the virus to kill people. So transfer factor, on the other hand, can manage to bring back that inflammation in 48 hours back to zero using the transfer factor plus. I'll show you a study that was done by For Life Research. Okay, this is the chart that was done. This is a clinical study by For Life Research, and this will show you that transfer factor plus, this one, can bring down the inflammation from here down to zero. As you can
Mm.
see, that is very powerful. The transfer factor trifactor formula, okay, this one, can bring it down also almost down to zero, but a little bit higher. But you know what? This is also good. Now, what about if people use just colostrum? Because there is a colostrum product outside For Life, isn't it? And so that only brought down up to here. It's like just above the middle. So this is the inflammation that that can be produced by the virus, but because of transfer factor plus, we can bring down the inflammation back to normal in just 48 hours.
Mm.
So that is saving lives. And that's the name of that disease is ARDS, or respiratory distress syndrome. So ARDS is the kind of disease that will kill human beings. So they collapse. That is like severe pneumonia. Okay?
Mm.
Most doctors will give up with a severe pneumonia case. I already have a severe pneumonia case way back in 2008, and the man was about 82 years old, and he was dying. He was only given 3 days to live. But because I gave him transfer factor plus, he was out of the hospital safe and sound on the 11th day.
Oh, wow. So we already answered the questions that what is the transfer factor and how transfer factor can help our immune system. So right now, why is it a critical time for people to use transfer factor and what kind of transfer factor would be the most effective at this very time?
Okay, we can use for children. You can use the trifactor or the transfer factor trifactor formula. And then for the adults, you can use the transfer factor plus. Maybe the dosaging for maintenance, just for prevention, you can use 3 capsules of this for the adults, and then just 1 or 2 capsules of this for the children. That is prevention or for maintenance. But if there is already a sign of coughing and there's already a sign of a COVID-19 virus, then you have to use this times 5. Okay, you will have to use 5 capsules 3 times a day of this, and then 3 capsules a day. Okay,
understand. So much, Ramon, for sharing your precious information and your time with us. And